I am Arjun Bhattrai, Chair of the Catalyst 2020 Nepal. On behalf of organizer, I'd like to welcome all of you and thank you for your valuable presence on today's sessions about social entrepreneurship academia dialogue, significance of education toward building social entrepreneurship ecosystem. This session is organizing today on the occasion of Catalyzing Change Week, which was started on 1st May and ending tomorrow, which is the largest global movement on social entrepreneurs, CSO, academia, private sectors, people's for achieving the UN Sustainable Development Goals. The main objectives of this dialogue to explore the existing landscape of social entrepreneurship on the education sectors and bring different perspective of academia, think tank, and social entrepreneurs, CSO and private sector to prepare the recommendation on education policy, plan and programs, curriculum, teaching methodology, and practice of the formal educations. I'm excited to hear from all of you on very important topic that we are discussing today. This session is organized by Catalyst 2030 Nepal, Nepal Development Initiatives, and National Social Entrepreneurship Forum. Those are very pioneer institutions contributing on promotion and creating enabling environment on social entrepreneurship, solidarity economy, responsible business, and empowerment community on alternative economic models for their prosperity and the better world. We have very eminent personalities as a speaker for today's sessions who bring diverse knowledge and experience of foster understanding about the social entrepreneurship education. I'm very much delighted with today's session moderator Raju Sharma, who associate with the NEDI, and other speakers, Mr. John Paul, Asia Pacific Regional Coordinator of Catalyst 2030, Mr. Pratibha Kadambari, Campus Chief of Kadambari Memorial College, Mr. Abhijit K, Founder of Brookus Ecosystem, India, and Professor Dr. Vinod Krishna Shrestha, Kathmandu University School of Management, for your valuable times and of course the contributions. I will request for your permission to record the sessions and take some photographs for official purpose. So finally, I'd like to thank you all of you again and request to mute your microphone and participate actively during opening sessions and discussions when we open the floor. Without delay, I am inviting Mr. Raju Sharma as a moderator of today's sessions. Mr. Sharma is a social entrepreneur, researcher, and think tank on enterprise sectors associated with NEDI and NCF since long. So without delay, I hand over to Raju to moderate today's sessions. Over to you, Raju.
Thank you, Arjun. Welcome, everybody. I am Raju Sharma. I will be facilitating the sessions for today. So as Arjun has already pointed out, the objectives of today's session is one, to identify the interlinkages between how education sector can contribute to generating the whole ecosystem of social entrepreneurship. And the other is to discuss among ourselves what are the important learnings that as a practitioners of social entrepreneurs or as an academic, as a person who does academic review of social entrepreneurship, we have understood that those learnings that we can share. So based on these two objectives, our speakers will be facilitating will deliver their speeches. We also have slotted some 20 minutes for discussions or question and answer sessions. So I would like to request our speakers to start their opening remarks for 7 to 8 minutes per speaker, and then we'll also go into Q&A sessions if there are some questions. We have three speakers, distinguished speakers in our session. We have John, who is the Asia Regional Coordinator for Catalyst 2030. We also have Pradipta Madam. She leads an educational institute by the name of Kadambari College, and she's been involved in academic activities related to social work, social entrepreneurship for longer than a decade. We also have Abhijit K, He is a mechanical engineer by education and an entrepreneur by practice. Uh, he leads a non-profit called Virux Ecosystem, providing entrepreneurship education to thousands of micro entrepreneurs and students. And also he runs a quite uniquely named organization called Misfits, where social entrepreneurs across South Asia collaborate for work. At last, we also have to, to provide some academic and curricula-based learnings issues in our present discussions. We have Professor Dr. Binod Shrestha. He is he leads the Kathmandu University School of Management, and he has a strong academic background and research interests in marketing, business ethics, business and human rights, corporate social responsibility, and social entrepreneurship. So, without much ado, I would like to first start with an introduction of Catalyst 2030 and the mission by John. John, over to you.
Thank you, Raju. Let me just pull up my presentation. Before I start, allow me to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of the lands where I'm calling from today and pay my respects to the elders past, present, and emerging. As mentioned, I'm John Uminga. My pronouns are he and his. And right now, I'm currently the Asia Pacific Coordinator of Catalyst 2030. It's lovely to be here. I am also doing my PhD at the moment on the topic of social entrepreneurship in Australia. Still ongoing, so there's still a lot of things to learn and research about. Yeah, but lovely to be part of this conversation. Again, I would like to warmly welcome everyone to this call, the Social Entrepreneurship Academic Dialogue, and thank Arjun and the Nepal chapter for organizing this very important conversation. So my role this afternoon, evening, morning is to introduce to you what Catalyst 2030 is. So I can see there are people here who are not yet part of the movement, and it's an opportunity and honor for me to give you a quick introduction of what we do in the movement. If you would like to connect with me later, that's my email address. I've already presented the video a while back, so I'm not gonna go through that again. So Catalyst 2030 was launched during the World Economic Forum in Davos in January 2020 by 4 of the leading social enterprise advocates. We have Echoing Green, School Foundation, Schwab Foundation, and Ashoka. So right now we're a community of over 3,000 members and 2,000 member organizations, all wanting to address the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. In terms of localizing action, we're present in different regions and countries through our chapters. The ones in green are chapters in Asia Pacific, which is personally I'm supporting as Asia Pacific coordinator. Nepal is one of them, India is one of them, and a lot more. If you're not seeing your country here, we're always happy to start a conversation on how we can bring the movement to your respective country. So, Catalyzing Change Week, aside from welcoming you to today's dialogue, we're also wanting to welcome you to Catalyzing Change Week, which is happening since Monday until tomorrow. It's just a very quick introduction of what we do in the movement. If there's one word to describe what we're doing, it's really all about action and collaborations and really working towards a common goal of advancing our intention to make, to do better for our planet and our people. So if it's something that interests you, feel free to reach out to Arjun or myself. I think that's it. If you have any question, please do let me know. Back to you, Raju.
Thank you, John, for sweet intro to the Catalyst 2030. And I'm sure we'll have, because there are a lot of attendees who are not the member of Catalyst 2030 already. So I expect after this conversation, we'll be able to have more members in Nepal community as well. So let me go to Pradipta ji. Pradipta madam, would you please put your opening remarks regarding how can the ecosystem of entrepreneurship, social entrepreneurship be created with the help of academic endeavors?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Raghu sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, sure, madam.
So I'll start. Thank you once again, Arjun sir, the organizer, for this opportunity to speak in this forum on one of the most relevant topic of academia and social entrepreneurship. And namaste to all the participants from all over the world, the different parts of the world. Being a social work educator and working with different communities and people struggling to overcome adversities, and also developing social workers to support these people, I have realized the value of social entrepreneurship in social work education. I was actually advised to speak on the demand for social entrepreneurship education in Nepal, but I think I'm not well in the position to speak about the demand of social work, social entrepreneurship education in Nepal, as I do not have any study or evidence to support my views on behalf of educational fraternity of Nepal. So I'm limiting my talk to my experiences of leading and running Kadambari Memorial College, the School of Social Work, a social enterprise itself, and working with different communities and organizations in social change and social development. And also I'll bring my experiences of chairing the BSW and MSW curriculum revision committee for Purvanchal University. When we talk about demand, I feel the demand comes from the value. Social entrepreneurship at this label in Nepal is still seeking to establish its value in educational fraternity. Once a value is understood, demands will be created. So I'm highlighting the value of social entrepreneurship in education more than the demand. So speaking on the value, I'll speak on the three aspects here. One is the value of social entrepreneurship study in social work education. The second is the value of entrepreneurial pedagogy in building social entrepreneurial minds in our education system. And the third is the role of academia in creating the value and creating demand for social entrepreneurship education, supporting building the entrepreneurship ecosystem. The first, when we talk about the value of social entrepreneurship education or a study in social work education, I like to start with the quote that is very common in social work. We say that social work is not about giving fish to a hungry, it is about teaching how to fish so that the person can feed and not be dependent anymore. A sustainable empowerment work. With the development of the importance of bringing societal change, this saying is further improvised by adding enterprises sense. And it is now said that it is not only teaching how to fish, it is also training the person to start a shop where that person can sell the fish and gives the job to for other people and train other people. This change in the narrative actually depicts how an enterprise has been taken as a tool of individual and community development in social work, establishing micro enterprises, supporting people with the seed money, linking people to micro enterprises or cooperatives are the intervention carried out to set up this kind of enterprises. So people are learning new skills, taking calculated risk and running ventures. And we see this model is still applied by lots of nonprofit in Nepal. But the context is changing rapidly. The tailoring shop that a person has opened might not be receiving sufficient orders as the road has reached to the village and the people can now buy ready-made dresses. So this intervention, though, is empowering people and changing the lives of the people, but I feel it misses a very important aspect, the innovation. Because when the context changes, it demands for the alternative thinking. As necessity is the mother of innovation, there is the necessity to respond to the change and create alternatives. Here, I like to read the recent community development improvised version of the same saying by a Bolivian social activist. He says that if you give me a fish, you feed me for a day. If you teach me to fish, then you have fed me until the river is contaminated or the shoreline is seized for development. But if you teach me to organize, then whatever the challenge, I can join together with my peer and we will fashion our solution. Though this has been refreshed for community development, I see the essence of entrepreneurial thinking here, the problem-solving capacity and the innovation. If this kind of solution can be designed into the business model, it will solve the problem and bring developmental changes to society. Amul India is one of the examples. But at present here, there is a huge need for the catalyst, the change maker, to think of the solution, similar solution as a business model or as a business. The demand for trained graduates from universities study to bridge the gap and support building social enterprises or being entrepreneurs themselves, building the social entrepreneurship ecosystem. That is why when we were revising Bachelor's of Social Work curriculum for Purvanchal University in 2016, we introduced social entrepreneurship course and is training social work undergrad students to be that catalyst. We are continuing to integrate the courses into Masters of Social Work program. Like we saw the value of entrepreneurship in social work education, there is a value of entrepreneurship study in other educations also. May it be an education study or a business study, or it can be nursing or management or more. I see the value of social workers in different disciplines. The second is the value of entrepreneurial pedagogy in building societies, social entrepreneurial minds in Nepal. When we talk about having a trained graduates from university, we see that the academia plays a very significant role in building that entrepreneurship ecosystem. We are a part of the ecosystem as we prepare social entrepreneurs. But the question is, are we doing it? These questions bring me to discuss the limitation of academia in terms of nurturing the entrepreneurial minds of our students. To make social entrepreneurs, we need to nurture the entrepreneurial mind, the thinking of our students. But if we look into our school education or college level education, the majority of it follows teacher-centered pedagogy, where education happens with listening and note-taking. The system trains students in receiving information, writing, and showing what they have understood or received. For me, this is a model that trains the mind towards being an employee or the job seeker. The lack of student-centered pedagogy and training students with their queries and project or internship, the students never receive the test of the food that we're talking now. There is nothing wrong in being an employee and thinking of a job. But having the majority of teaching pedagogy like this, we are losing the opportunity to develop entrepreneurial minds. We are losing almost 18 years of entrepreneurial learning in one person's life. When we lose that much of forming years, we can't recreate another person from that person. So to build good entrepreneurs, we need to train the entrepreneurial mind of our students. We need to apply entrepreneurial pedagogy where we take our students to experience real life situations, solve problems, navigate resources, design solution, and let them practice the solution. I have seen little girl of 10 or 12 years in a Christmas Mela in Kathmandu selling the Oreo biscuit with the decoration and some twist, and another few children selling a thrift cloths. I was amazed to see the entrepreneurial mind. I also saw parents of students selling foods in food mela in Kathmandu to raise funds for their children's school, but never seen young students having a mela where they prepare their product, goods, and sell them. We have not provided that ground for our students to learn that play. It has to start from the school level and continue to the college level. Then only we see the progression and development, making the market-ready graduates social entrepreneurs who are confident in taking risks and setting up their own business for social change. Otherwise, the majority of the graduates will take the safest way of living, taking a job rather than creating a job. So looking at the role of academia in creating value and creating demands for social entrepreneurship education, at this moment, I believe in starting from the point I'm standing. That is why at Kadambari, we have tried to integrate entrepreneurial pedagogy into our student-centered learning system. This is more convenient for us in bachelor level than master levels, because in bachelor's, we have 4 years to work with the students to build that mind and the muscles of entrepreneurship. If our school level education integrate it into curricular or co-curricular activities, it will be much easier to nurture the minds of the people, these students, when they come to the university level studies. Since social change is everyone's desire, but not everyone's choice, there is a need to have a collective effort for academia. I look into this as a university college engagement, the different disciplines of academia coming together and collaborating so that we can teach and train our graduates in working in groups in a multidisciplinary approach and motivating them to take social enterprise as their career. I often imagine how impactful a social venture be when there are graduates of management, social work, public health, working for a women's reproductive health and empowerment. That is why nowadays I often talk about the business model of social work, social enterprise of social work services. Finally, I would like to end by saying social entrepreneurship is a tool for people and the planet to drive towards prosperity. Prosperity not definitely limited to monetary gain, but to the flourishing and enabling environment to create a just society. For academia, there is a lot more to do, changing our pedagogical approach from the school level to train entrepreneurship amongst the students, integrating that courses on time like this. If the educationists in Nepal realize the value of social entrepreneurship, the demand for social entrepreneurship in education increases automatically. It is challenging, but it's also an opportunity for all of us, the educators of Nepal, to be that catalyst. Thank you.
Thank you, Pradipta ji. Now we'll be hearing from Abhijit K. Well, he will also. I would also request Abhijit to give a brief intro of his entrepreneur journey and link it with how the quality education and opportunities on social entrepreneurship are linked. Abhijit, you have. I would request you to keep it short for 7 to 8 minutes.
Right.
Over to you, Abhijit.
Yes. Hi. Good evening. Good afternoon, everyone here. I always, I try to share my introduction as a failed academic turned entrepreneur. I'm, I think, a product of the system that was not suited for, creative folks and who, or rather, wanted to do something on their own. And as Pradipta ma'am shared, we have to move from being just a job mindset to a creator mindset, and also more on the impact mindset in that front. So I started my journey right out of college, where I built my first company in the robotic space. Went on to start another company into abroad education, worked with investors, helped startups, and then had this unique experience working for Swachh Bharat Mission, which is the Clean India massive sanitation campaign in the country that happened. And I was exposed to the realities of the grassroots. And that's where it really hit me that, on one side, where we think about or we talk about, artificial intelligence and IoT and all of those things, but 200 kilometers away, people don't have clean drinking water. I think that was the moment of of change for me, where I thought, hey, I need to contribute something back. And I saw entrepreneurship as a medium, and that's where Vruksh was founded. So Vruksh primarily does entrepreneurship education at the grassroots. We work with a lot of young population and women to help them realize their entrepreneurial dreams. Along with that, I think during the pandemic, we all, I think, as a global South, we face this major challenge of connectivity, right? The digital divide was finally visible to the entire world, that not everyone has internet connection, not everyone has smartphones. And that's where we started using WhatsApp, and we started leveraging all of these different tools. And what's something that I'm going to share about with you in a minute is, we all have been hearing about using ChatGPT and tools like that, which has been making a lot of wave. And that's something that I personally see how it can be used. So at a general level, how these AI solutions can be used is an outreach, education, engagement, copywriting, and nonprofits can use it wonderfully well. I also shared it last evening with the CCW panel on ChatGPT for Global South. If you can move to the next slide, please. And the way that we use it for teaching students, right? Next slide, please. So here, if you see, we use WhatsApp as a medium, or messaging apps in general, where the intent of Ekatra now is to provide quality education for the next billion, right? We use micro-learning, which is bite-sized learning method, in a multilingual format over messaging apps. So it becomes truly accessible. And what we're seeing the image is a completely AI-generated course, right? So we're now able to take quality learning to the masses in their own languages, right? If you could stay on the slide, please. That's something, that's the idea, right? Where I see a future where you have these AI tutors helping students on ground, because we see, there is a challenge in terms of quality teachers. There is a challenge in terms of quality content. There is a challenge in terms of digital connectivity. And that's something that we want to solve, like using the best technologies that are out there and taking that to people. And that's where, the problems abound. Like if I talk about, and something that we've built for Catalyst is moving, if you could share the next slide, please, is this Catalyst bot. So if you have your phone in your hands, you can go and scan this, or if the moderator can help me copy this link in the chat, you can go ahead and use this. So what we've done is the knowledge portal of Catalyst, which is SCI, has been now trained as a chatbot and provided right on WhatsApp, right? So like pretty much everyone who's a member of Catalyst can go forward and use it. Thank you very much for sharing the slides. We can take them down. You can stop sharing. Thank you very much. So this is what we've been doing. And a last comment about social entrepreneurship. I think with Misfits, what we've been trying to do is we see, and just before the panel, we were chatting that early stage social entrepreneurs lack a place to go and share that, hey, I want to start doing something impactful. Where should I go? There is so much that happens for startups, for businesses, SMEs. There are so many ways where they can go and meet and talk to people when they're starting up. But where should I, as a young person, go to talk or share about my struggles, or where should I get help when I'm trying to start a social enterprise? And that's where Misfits as an initiative was born again during the pandemic under Vruksh, wherein we run this early stage social entrepreneurs community across Southeast Asia, and successfully have been able to support almost 60 odd entrepreneurs through the network. More than 500 people or 500 organizations have taken benefit of the different initiatives that we run and were part of our network. So I think that's one benefit, that's one step that I'm trying to provide or engage with you all here. I believe the right guidance and mentoring in this space is needed. Even for me as an early stage entrepreneur, I look for these resources, and I think Catalyst as an organization has been phenomenal in being able to provide that. But I want to see what happens for someone who's just starting up, who does not have the kind of access like I do. And that's where I'm trying to create a stage. Those are some of my thoughts in this regard. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Aljit. Quite you in a minute you covered a very broad and be very specific, and it was rejuvenating for us to see how small technology tools could be used for social entrepreneurship. Thank you very much. I will now invite Professor Dr. Binod sir, who will speak about the academic curricula and social entrepreneurship education. What are the gaps? He will provide us an academic perspective and also show us the gap and also way forward. Over to you, Professor Binod.
Thank you very much for the invitations as well. And the other speakers who have talked about an enlightening perspective of the social enterprise. So this is just my introduction. I work in, as already told, and then I work in School of Management of Kathmandu University. The perspective that I'm going to talk today is the need of academia in social enterprise is because academia as a university, the primary objective is teaching, definitely, but what to teach to the students of management or social enterprise, entrepreneurs, etc. Then all these academia and curriculums must be based on the research, and then we develop curriculum, and then we test, and if that is successful, and that really provide some good results on the students, whatever the objective we have, for example, letting students to start their own enterprises, or social enterprises, or something else. So since we offer MBA and the BBA, then primary objective is to get a good placement, and then your starting salary in average how much. Yeah, then we boast that we are good or bad based on. But so far, even if we are very much worried about how many people really started business immediately after the MBA and the BBA, a bit frustrating, and a very, very less percentage, about 10% start their own businesses. And other people waited for some years to get some experience, and then they start on their own. And then we can trace a few of the students starting business. So, and that's why, okay, back, I have only 3 slides, and in fact, back when I'm not done with the first slide. Okay, one more forward. Oh yes, here, thank you. So, and then we focus on this contextual knowledge, and we can gather a lot of information from Western, Eastern, everywhere from the world. And then we review many other textbooks and also research papers. Then our first challenge is, if we are talking about social enterprise in Nepal, then are we contextualizing these knowledge, these theories or the concepts that we borrow from books or articles to our country? Or if we are talking about some local level village or urban area, then also we need to contextualize these things, right? Okay, that's why here comes the academia, who will invest on this research, development, testing, disseminations, and it is none other than the universities. And if we look into a private sector company or some other non-government organizations, and they will have a less force on research, development, test, and this is a long process. Yeah, that's why for social enterprise also we need academia. I hope many other universities also do the same. Next slide, please. Okay, so, okay. Okay, so the academic function, as we say, I just talked about, that's teaching. What we are doing is in bachelor and master's social entrepreneurship courses are offered. And then we have a specialization stream and some courses also we offer. Then research in social entrepreneurship, few MPhil and PhD scholars have already attempted social entrepreneurship, even though they have not finished that job. Then we provide, we do faculty research on social entrepreneurs that we carried out already few. And on the top of that, since dissemination is I'm talking about dissemination, and we have the outreach and consultancy program on for incubations, training, and consultancy also. And it is, I think, this three part is the performance target of all the faculties. And the faculties are evaluated based on how many sessions, courses they have taken, how many research being produced, published, and also are they involved in service for giving services to the society in terms of outreach, as well as consultancy for social enterprise, private firms, etc., etc. And to me, to become a full-fledged academic institutions, we have to do this. And then since we are talking about the social entrepreneurship, then the teaching, research, outreach, everything should focus also as a one of the stream of the faculty activities. Okay, now next, I think I have only one slide left. Okay, so based on my experience with working in social enterprise or entrepreneurship in Nepal, even the academic institutions has to devote their time to define social enterprise in Nepal, how we can do, and then looking at the environment and the things taking place in the society we have to be careful to define this, because social enterprise, the primary objective of addressing social issues or solving social problems, where the market is not perfect. That means either government has not invested much, private sectors are very much shy away for indulging their products to solve the social problem. Yeah, that's why we call it a market failure. But by defining social enterprise, we should be very careful that with social enterprise, with some incentive from here and there, donations, etc., then we may distort the market where private sector can solve it, right? So we are very careful in prescribing the policy documents for making this thing clear, because the same services that should be offered or same products that should be offered to address the social issues or social problem can also be supplied by the private companies. And if that is the case, then we say that, okay, we shouldn't define. This is based on our research. That's how the academic thing comes in. And maybe somewhere this market functions will be distorted or not. That we have to be very careful in defining social enterprise. This is the findings from our research so far. And this is what we have included in the course content and our outreach program, also the consulting services, etc. Because we also work with some donor organizations, talking and preaching or activating their programs for so-called social enterprise. Then we tend to say that if you are distorting the private sector market, and please don't do that, right? And then where the market failure is still here, and there are a lot of opportunity for social enterprise where nobody is really trying, and there are a lot of opportunities also in Nepal, because Nepal is poor country, even in the developed countries. Then we see the need of social enterprise, then where the private sector and government organization not working. Yeah, that is from policy level. Second point that I want to highlight is that we have research on this issue that the MBAs as well as BBAs, whether they realize, are they aware of what social enterprise is, what quality they need besides the mainstream entrepreneurship, the risk taking or this and that, a lot of qualities that private entrepreneur also should have. The social enterprise entrepreneurs also have the same skills and knowledge and attitudes. But on the top of that, these people, those who want to really create the social enterprises, or if we want to encourage some people or young people to start social enterprises to solve social problems, then we need to develop this altruistic motivation, empathy, moral judgment as the basic characteristics or attitude that we have to develop. That's why for this purpose, if we run the program or a course on social enterprise, then the focus should be on altruistic motivation, empathy, and the moral judgment that should be really taken care, which in fact is not generally necessary for private entrepreneurs. Yeah. So in that way, it is private entrepreneurs and the social entrepreneurs are different. And then as a result, they need different capacity or attitude, etc. Third is consider that ecosystem is not only education and incubation. And I have a lot of interactions with the people who talk about ecosystem, and then I found that they are focusing only on setting up incubation center or teaching students how to become entrepreneur or social entrepreneurs, but that is not enough. Rather, we may create a lot of frustrating group mass that they want to do something, but the other infrastructure, etc., is not ready, right? So when we talk about ecosystem, yeah, naturally incubation education is one thing, and then but conducive legal provisions and the procedures, because people are fed up with the legal provisions procedure they have to face, even whether it is private or social enterprise. I heard that social enterprise, since there's a lack of definition, they suffer loss. They suffer more than what we talk about for private enterprises. And also availability and accessibility of market, where they have to offer their services. The mass should be ready and easily accessible. And the supplies that is required for delivering service, a lot of inputs is necessary besides the capacity to do that. And this should be ready. And since this environment, that ecosystem is differ across the country, yeah, and in different places. If we go to some village or some district, then the existence of this ecosystem is different. And then when we work in urban area like Kathmandu or Pokhara, as a result, that the ecosystem should be contextual based. And once this concept of ecosystem with this comprehensive one, and then those people who claim that they want to create social enterprise, they have created social enterprise, they have helped social enterprise to grow or startups. And then if they go to some village or some poor urban area also, or they have to think about developing all these things, legal provision with local government. And they can really now, they can amend their policies to make this procedure easy. And as well as they have to make sure that they can intervene in this market and the supply input market and output market for social enterprise. That's why this ecosystem should be context-based, region-specific. In Nepal, it is really a new topic in academia. There's a lot of research is necessary. And we are trying to develop social enterprise also in a lot of villages also, Bardia and some villages in Chitwan and also in Kabre districts. And we are thinking of going there to talk with the local government, that the Nagarpalika or municipality or rural municipality, to talk about social enterprise. And then we train a few of the local stakeholders to understand this concept and equip them for helping the poor producer groups, cooperatives, for example, right? And then, then we are trying our best. I hope that we will succeed in the future. Okay, I think this is the end, and thank you very much for this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Binod.
Yeah.
It's time for us. I have two questions from Hari and Ram. Hari asks question to Pradeep Daji. His Hari query is more related to, you mentioned about cross-cultural or cross-stream learning to make to nurture the social entrepreneurship mindset. Hari would like you to elaborate a bit more on that. So Pradita ji, could you please elaborate more on that?
Yeah, Harizi, can I listen to Harizi if he is there?
Sorry, Raji, I disturb you. Can I take one pictures in between, because there are some people leaving, so maybe it will be good for a record purpose. So can you open the camera if it's okay for everyone? Just Okay, just one more click. Yeah. Okay, thank you everyone. So now, thank you.
But what correct me if I understand the queries correctly. It's like I understood that I was talking about the multidisciplinary approach, and that is what the cross-cultural or cross different disciplines coming together and working for the social cause. So that comes from my experience, because the social problems it doesn't exist in silos. Like it is, if it's a health problem, then there is the financial management comes, and then the education. It's a multiple problem coming at once in a community or a family. And I have seen entrepreneurs working only in one aspect, or the NGOs intervening on one aspect. And then the family or the support is not being for the whole. And that's where the multidisciplinary approach is very, very relevant. So it can be, for me, if social workers is looking into the social problems and then linking them to hospital services, then a management team would be looking into the management aspect of this. And then other teams, our doctors, our nurses are also linked together. So this is what I'm trying to bring as a collective approach of working for the larger impact. Otherwise, the impact would be limited only as effect, can't be leveraged to a social impact. Thank you.
Thank you, Pratibhaji. I have received text questions from Ram. Would like to direct this question to Professor Binod. Ram says that Professor Binod mentioned of altruistic motivation to start social entrepreneurship, and he would like to ask if all of the social enterprises or of the social entrepreneurship effort that Professor Binod has seen, how important is altruistic motivation? Can there be other variations? I mean, people who look business mere from profit venture, but at the same time, they would also solve social problems. He has given an example of, I think in Nepali members would understand, and an example of khalicc.com. So would you please elaborate on that, Professor Binod?
Okay, let's start with the example of khalicc. And then I have interactions with the khalicc person also. And then why you are starting this business? And he is fed up with this, the garbage being thrown out in the streets, here and there, and unmanageable. And that exactly fit to our definition of social enterprise, that the main objective of creating this is to solve the social problem rather than earning profit. And the profit is secondary, right? And yeah, then if you can solve that problem profitably, and then still we should appreciate it. And then when we analyze the people like khalicc, for example, and there are so many people who are in social enterprise, like Tilganga, and then there are many other organizations. And then most of them, first of all, highlight the needs of solving social problems. Yeah, then if we look into private sector company, that is private entrepreneurs, they first offer their views that they want to earn profit. Yeah, then what is the difference? Yeah, those people who want to solve the society or social problem has the initial idea of giving something to society, and that they are surviving. They came to this earth to solve the social problem, and that is altruistic motivations. And they can earn, yeah, but they definitely, the social enterprise has to sustain and they have to grow. And for this growth and sustainability, and the financial sustainability or business sustainability comes only through profit. But if those people who can't attain sustainability, this type of sustainability on their own, and there is always room for support from other organizations to subsidize their services. So in cutting short, if we put all of them together, since the first objective is to solve social problem, then what type of people will think about that? That only that is the altruistic motivation. And if we are targeting the students as well as normal people who want to whom we want to convert them into social enterprise, then we have to focus on, are they really altruistic, has an attitude of solving social problem, rather than looking at themselves first. And then if that is there, and they will offer corporate social responsibility activities, this and that, right? The definition of corporate social responsibility is earn and then give back to the society. Yeah. So what comes first? Profit. And then they go back to society. But the social entrepreneurs think in the other way around. Yeah, that's what I am highlighting on altruistic motivations. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Binod. Are there any other questions? Any participant would like to make a short remark? We have some time for that. Please unmute yourself and then you could ask the questions or give your remarks. Since I haven't received any more questions or queries, and so I will move forward. And now I have of all the, thank you all speakers. It was very wonderful to hear of the diverse experience and the knowledge that you brought up. Some key takeaways that I think that three of our speakers mentioned is you need to have an ecosystem approach to look into social enterprises. That is the one important takeaways, if I can. Social enterprise should not be seen in silos, as Pradipta ji already mentioned about it. And Abhijit also narrated how if there is a lack of support structures, how it can delay, being a social entrepreneur. And for young people, that might be, a bit more risky. They might get frustration early. So if there is a good ecosystem to support, then the journey of social entrepreneurs will be very easy. The another takeaway from Pradipta ji's is the business should be seen, or enterprises should be seen as an integral part of the society. Before there was while business enterprises are mostly seen as an entity for profit-making enterprise, profit-making endeavors only, the change in thinking is also related to the enterprises. It also earns profit, but then it also has some effects in the wider, it creates ripples of effect in wider society. So it should also be seen as an for-profit companies or enterprises should be seen as an integral part of the business. And also, well, Abhijit narrated, he just gave an example of how tech-based tools are used for awareness, creating awareness and teaching. Well, social enterprise, with the advent of these tech-based tools like ChatGPT and other AI tools, the emerging social entrepreneurs are quite, they are quite easy. And there is a sense of they are, at an advantage position in terms of reaching out to masses, large number of people. So that is a distinct advantage of social entrepreneurs, which they are of today's generation. And also, I like the way Abhijit mentioned that we need to move from a job mindset through our academic endeavors into impact mindset. The major takeaways from Professor Binod's deliberation. So he first says then in academic institutions, all academic institutions test and disseminate knowledge, and they've been doing that in the scene of in the issues of social entrepreneurship also. He also highlighted of the need to have more incubation and training facilities and consulting consultancies, so that would-be or emerging social entrepreneurs are well supported. And he also mentioned that there is a high education to employment, years gaps, so to say, high education to employment gaps in Nepal, and social entrepreneurs, when they start enterprising or move into creating an enterprise, they might reduce that or can be an option alternative to that. He also, one of the strong points raised by Professor Binod was that while thinking of social enterprises might come out of altruistic motivation, one needs to have that, but there is a sense that we should not distort the market. We should understand the market failure, but we should not distort the market. Private sector should be led in which they are more competitive. So these are the important takeaways from today's discussions. I hear Abhijit would like to speak something. Over to you, Abhijit. And would you please, I would request you to keep it short. We are nearing towards the end.
Absolutely. No, I think just one small comment based on, I think, very well summed up. Generally, like, a lot of people keep asking, like, as a young entrepreneur, like, why did I start a nonprofit? Because people generally start nonprofits when, they're well settled and they want to just give back. And I always believe, and, just based on what fellow panelists shared, I think a nonprofit or a social enterprise needs to also have, like, while you're fighting for purpose, you need to fight for profit as well. Because if there's no profit built in, even as a nonprofit that you're trying to do stuff, how far can you take that impact, right? There needs to be, like, all the elements that we talk about of running an enterprise, say unit economics, marketing, fundraising, having productized solutions, of your offerings. I think that is also very relevant for nonprofits and social enterprises, because you can't keep doing charity if you don't have any money coming in, right? How far can that go? And that's what we've, as an organization, I've also tried to do, like, even with my nonprofit and social enterprise, is there is a strong focus towards profitability. There is a strong focus towards revenue generation, and that helps us not rely purely on grant support, right? And that makes me achieve the goal that I have in mind, because with external money, be it investment or grants, there is an external person that also, or an external thought process also comes in. And I think, it is very important as a social entrepreneur that if you have set on a vision, let your own money drive that vision than depending on others. So yeah, those are 2 cents that I wanted to add.
Thank you, Abhijit. Let your money decide on your way to entrepreneurship. That is a quite good summary of how a young entrepreneur would look into the social entrepreneurship. So we've come towards the end of of our session. It was really wonderful to have listened from eminent persons who have been experienced, who are really working to build up the ecosystem of social entrepreneurship. We also had participants. I would again request all participants, if they have already not been the members of Catalyst 2030, please enroll. It's a vibrant community of social entrepreneurs. You will have a lot of things to learn about it. And a big thanks to Chair, Mr. Arjun, for organizing this event. And a big thanks to all the speakers also, and to the participants also. We had a wonderful discussion, and hope we'll keep alive the social entrepreneurship. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you all. Bye-bye. Have a good time. And
Thank you.
Bye.
Everyone. Congrats, Arjun. Congrats, everyone.